representatives from the companies involved in the tanker driver dispute have been meeting today at a specially convened oil trades conference. There has been lots of positive discussion about the proposals contained in the document put forward following talks through ACAS last week. However, the overwhelming feeling was that the proposals do not go far enough in guaranteeing industry-wide minimum standards, terms, conditions and pensions. Delegates expressed concern that while important progress had been made on health, safety and training, proposals on maintaining standards, security of employment and subcontracting do not give them the confidence that the problems gripping the industry would be addressed fully by the employers. We remain committed to achieving a negotiated settlement that brings stability and security to a vital industry and gives this workforce and the public confidence that the race to the bottom in this vital industry is ending. For too long, operators have presided over undercutting and the erosion of standards. This is simply not sustainable, and it is beholden on all parties to work together to establish a meaningful set of minimum standards that brings order to a chaotic industry. While there has been some progress, it is clear that our members need more guarantees and assurance from the employers about their commitment to meaningful minimum standards. Delegates therefore overwhelmingly rejected the proposals as they stand and will be requesting the assistance of ACAS to convene talks. We call on the employers to engage with us so that we can reach a meaningful settlement that brings an end to the uncertainty in the industry.
John Moylan, BBC. Can I just ask, you came out of the ACAS talks on Friday night with a document after 6 days of talks. What's gone wrong here? Why were the tanker drivers' representatives not able to accept that?
Well, what we came out with was a document that was where we were able to achieve through negotiations at that point, and we could see that there were important achievements within it that people would recognise as progress, which they did. We also knew there were areas where we were concerned there may not be sufficient progress. We had that discussion, we left the decision to the conference as we said we would, and they have said to us, we do recognise the progress, but it isn't sufficient, but we ask you to continue the talks in certain areas to see if we can move forward.
If there is insufficient progress by the Friday strike date deadline, will you set strike dates?
Number one priority, we have making contact with ACAS so that we find a way through this without the need to take industrial action. However, as you say, there is industrial action law in this country and the ballot mandate runs out on Friday. So what we have said is that we will do all we can to achieve talks, but we don't want an artificial timeline to prevent progress from being reached. And therefore what we're going to do is to do all we can at this stage just to ensure that the ballot is legally valid. But we will make further announcements when we've had a chance to see how things go in terms of progressing talks.
Andy Bell, Channel 5 News. You were obviously in talks for 6 days. Do you have any reason to believe that the employers are going to move any more than they were prepared to give you with this document that's now been rejected?
Well, we started those talks after 4 hours of deliberations from the employers with a few paragraphs on a sheet of paper, and we ended with 4 pages. And I have to say at the beginning we didn't think we'd get that far. So we are optimistic, and that is why we want those talks. Everybody recognises the problems in the industry. The document itself, everybody together is saying what is happening at the moment is not sustainable. There are issues there that we all need to address together. What we're saying is, at the moment, while we understand that the employers can't bring stability on their own, there are other players that need to come into this. As we've said all along, the oil companies, the retailers, government and the Health and Safety Executive and others have made commitments that we were able to report back. But at this stage, what we want to do is to find a way of getting some meaningful recognition that the current process of contracting and subcontracting is undermining all the standards that are achieved in the industry, and currently the wording is not strong enough to prevent that from continuing.
Chris Troy from ITV News. You're talking about maintaining standard, but what the employers have always told us that they refuse to discuss is maintaining pay. To what extent is pay now emerging as the real sticking point?
Well, we did obviously talk about pay during the discussions that we had, and pay is an important issue, but not in the sense that perhaps people would think, as in the rising pay. What we're talking about is getting a floor below which pay will not fall. Now, exactly how that is dealt with in an industry that is run by contracting and subcontracting is a very difficult process. But if we do not discuss all the terms and conditions alongside each other, the danger is that advances in health and safety and training are then paid for, or made to be paid for, by workers in other ways in the conditions. And that is why the things do go alongside each other. But our experience is that the better paid in parts of the industry are also the places where there is better health and safety and better training. We want the decent standards everywhere. But I will say it's about the contracting and subcontracting undermining the standards that's really the sticking point. Yes.
Hi, Harriet Hedford, Sky News. Obviously the scenes last month of queues of people buying petrol, panic buying, were regrettable. What would you say to people tonight who have those same concerns again?
What we can say to people is, please, as we've said all along, do not panic. It is very clear that at this point in time we are not on strike, and we have not announced that we are going on strike. We are still wanting to talk, and we are calling for further talks because we feel we are able to reach a solution in this dispute, and we are determined to do so.
Are you asking for a further extension of the ballot mandate so you could carry on talking beyond Friday?
At this point in time, as I say, we've literally just said that we're going to approach ACAS for talks. Then there will be a range of discussions. We do need to keep the ballot mandate legitimate, and there are a number of ways in which that can be done.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.